Good
morning. I'll call the Kansas County Health and Human Services Committee to order. I want to thank everybody that's here for being present and look forward to hearing from you during this meeting. But first, we have a little housekeeping to take care of. We have some minutes to adopt from the last meeting. I'd entertain a motion.
I so move.
Commissioner Berg moves on the minutes. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Nissen seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The first order of business this morning is the proposed public health fees for 2022. You have them in your Dropbox or your, it's not a Dropbox anymore.
iCompass.
You're in your iCompass packet. And Jenny will present on that.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
So
For the
I'm
record
here.
and those watching,
Sure. Yep. Jenny Lippert, Health and Human Services Director. I am here today with our 2022 public health fee schedule. Each of the services below we offer in some different capacity through public health. We are looking to increase the cost of our Manto test this year. All of the other fees will remain the same rate as what was approved this past year in 2021. So you'll see we're proposing, currently right now, our Manto tests are $30, and we're looking to increase that to $35 for 2022. Any questions? Otherwise, I would ask to have this fee schedule approved.
any questions for Ms. Lippert?
I'll move that we adopt the
Commissioner Nissen
schedule.
moves on the fee schedule. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that. Oh, sorry.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, you can proceed with the nursing services contract.
Oops, what?
Yep. So next, Prairie Lakes Youth Program contracts with Public Health as we offer nursing services over at their secure and non-secure programs along with their group home settings, the boys and girls group homes. We have a nurse that does nurse calls weekly over at the secure and non-secure setting, and then a nurse that does some medication audits and training over at the group homes. For this next year, we are proposing an increase to our hours at each of the locations. So our nursing hours for the secure and non-secure, we're looking to increase from up to 50 hours a month to, for 2022, up to 70 hours a month. And the reason that we're looking to increase that by 20 hours is because you'll hear from Director Holly Booth, who is with us today from Prairie Lakes, but their census is likely going to increase for the secure and non-secure program area. Our medication audits, the time will increase just with the nature of having an increased census over there. Our staff time will increase for the medication trainings. And then now we're offering our nurse to be at 2 sites over there, so they have to go back and forth between both buildings, which just naturally takes more time. And then the second part of that contract is the nursing hours that we do over at the group homes. And we're looking to increase that from up to 5 hours a month to, for 2022, up to 10 hours a month. And again, the reason for that increase for next year is we're now using all of the same forms and the processes for the med audits as we do in the secure and non-secure, so a little bit more oversight. And we're doing quarterly audits in addition to monthly audits. And then during our quarterly audits, we're reviewing all of the medications, we're pulling expired medications, and any medications that don't have standing order. So just some additional oversight for the group homes and additional training.
Any questions for Jenny regarding the services contract and the increased hours proposed? Then I would entertain a motion to approve this contract.
I'll so move.
We have a motion on the floor to move.
I'll second.
And a second. So Commissioner Gardner and Commissioner Berg, any other discussion or questions?
Just probably, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to point out, as we all know it, but the public maybe not know it as well, we're part of a joint powers with this program that we're contracting with, and there's 4 other counties, so we
And
know it
because
well.
we are the host,
Yes.
Because we are the host county for the Prairie Lakes facility, it makes sense for us to be provide the nursing services.
Correct.
All right. All right, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Do you have any other?
I do. I have one additional contract.
Okay.
So I am here again to present the Prairie Lakes Secure, Non-Secure, and Group Home Contract. So locally, we, Candioi County, contract with Prairie Lakes for their secure and non-secure facilities, along with residential services, which is offered through their boys and girls group homes. And again, the Boys and Girls Group Home is a transition and independent living program, which serves as an alternative residential service program. Prairie Lakes this year is proposing a larger increase than we've seen in the past for all of their areas for this upcoming 2022 year. So as you can see in your iCompass board packets, Prairie Lakes is proposing for their secure facility, which they call Toledo's Passage. They're looking to increase that $60 per diem, or which is roughly an 8% increase from where we are currently at. For their non-secure, they're looking to propose a $46 per diem increase, or again, roughly an 8% increase. And their non-secure, they have Leo's Legacy and also a new facility that's called Captain's Academy. For their group homes, they're looking to increase their rates $27 per diem, or what we would consider a 9% increase for 2022. I will point out that Prairie Lakes, kind of like what Commissioner Berg said as being a joint powers and Candioi County being the host contractor, they do view us as a member county, so we are offered a better rate than those non-member counties. And I know Commissioner Berg sits on that board, so he can provide you some additional information. Otherwise, if you're okay at this time, I would like to introduce Holly Booth, who is the director over at Prairie Lakes Youth Programs, and she can kind of give you a little overview of some of the changes and kind of the reflection of why such a big increase for this 2022 year.
Thank you, Jenny. Welcome, Holly. And again, now that you're at the mic, state your name and who you represent for the record.
Yes, good morning. I'm Holly Booth, Executive Director at Prairie Lakes Youth Programs. Thank you for having me here today. So I want to share a little bit with you about the increase that we are asking at this time for the next calendar year at Prairie Lakes Youth Programs. We are experiencing a need for some significant updates inside the buildings. We are experiencing an outdated look, and that need. We really want our interior spaces to match the high quality services that we provide, as well as some structural updates that are needed with a new boiler, and ensuring that we are able to provide our evidence-based practices curriculum with the appropriate staffing. And so evaluating with other sites around the state of Minnesota, at the DOC sites licensed the same as ours as children's residential facilities. The average per diem is the range is $270 to $344 each day per youth. And so we feel that we're significantly behind some of our other sites of what that per diem rate has been, with minimal increases each year. We have talked at our board as well that this increase is necessary to ensure that we can continue financial stability moving forward successfully. After this increase, then we intend to have a typical standard yearly increase. We have a new program that we've just expanded with restructuring our building. Before in the 1808 building, there's 3 floors that were all secure placements. With the changes in the state of Minnesota and elsewhere, we are having less youth placed in those settings. And so looking to expand our non-secure options has been something we're very much a part of at Prairie Lakes. And so restructuring that building, adding some doors to ensure our other 2 floors are secure. And the top floor is now our new program, Leo's Legacy, which is a new non-secure program. So we'll have youth, our first youth arrived yesterday. Open house last week. Thank you to those from the community and elsewhere who joined us for that. We had a great turnout. And let's see here. Any questions? Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. What were the daily rates again?
The new proposed rates?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
what you were,
Previous.
you said there was like a 270 or
So at other sites in Minnesota that are licensed the same as ours, the range is 270 to 344.
Okay.
Yes. And we are asking for our secure program to have a per diem of 300, and then our other non-secure and group home programs at 286. And then member counties a $40 per day per diem discount.
Any other question, Commissioner Burke?
Mr. Chair, I just would like to share with the board, I don't believe there was any increase last year, and I'm not even sure even the year before. Well, we did have a year before. Okay, last year we didn't have any increase at all. As well as you may be aware, these type of facilities throughout the state are really struggled during COVID, and several have closed because of they couldn't afford it and keep them open. And as you heard me report several other times to the board, how in our program here, that we really struggled and, getting close that we're going to have to decide if we're going to stay open or not. And we certainly don't want to lose that facility. We did not want to raise rates, I may add, except we're at a point we have to do something. And we're hoping with things turning around now, thanks to our new hire, Ms. Booth. She's doing an excellent job. And we have not had a chance to put money back into the program, and actually the county does not put hardly any money into the program, as well as the school system. So it's been on its own, trying to finance its own way, and each of the 5 counties have initially put money into the program, if I'm correct on this, Mr. Kleindahl, and that was basically it. We do give them a fairly fair, reasonable rate of rent for the building, but they're responsible for maintaining everything inside. So we struggled. We did not want to raise the per diems at all, but we have to move on. And we're crossing our fingers that since we serve the whole state of Minnesota, other places are closing down, and we have an excellent program that we're going to be moving forward, and this is going to be an outstanding program in our state. So we're really promoting it.
Any other questions?
You had a.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, did I?
Commissioner
Go ahead.
Gardner.
Go ahead.
Okay,
I'll call him Commissioner Gardner. I saw him first.
that's fine.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question for Larry. Is any of this something that was contemplated during the budget process?
The fee increase?
Yeah.
No, the per diem was not. We did have discussions about when we renewed the lease and stuff, we looked at that with the budget and stuff, and they've been great tenants. We have a good partnership with that. Because this is the fee is based, the cost for the fee is based on usage. So it's hard to predict. We do budget for predict the number of kids we place there. And so we manage that way. But out-of-home placements, as you know, you could have 3 months in a row with good numbers, and all of a sudden, one month, it blows your out-of-home placement out. So our budgets for out-of-home placements is a projection. They're not. It's not an actual dollar most of the time.
So this request
We're
is a little independent of that process, or?
Yes.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around it a little bit.
Most of the time, we have the budget set, and then a provider will come to a family services and ask for contract rates, and they kind of predict where they think the rates will be. This is a little bit different because of the circumstances that this program is in, and with the struggles and trying to keep above water. And so they felt at this time they need to do a little bit of a leap instead of a creep.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Nissen.
I just had a quick question on the bonding thing for the gymnasium. Did that go through last year, or am I? Or did that not make it?
It did go through.
It did.
Yes, that's a very good question. And that's kind of up in the air right now. I'm not sure we were planning to address that at this point, but Ms. Booth is exploring this more for that board. And even though we did get the bond, since there's the financial crisis going on, and it wasn't only COVID doing it, but community corrections has changed so much, and courts are not sentencing kids like they used to secure facilities. So the numbers were down as well. And part of this whole process, and Holly, if you will, correct me too, is to redo the programming and looking how we're serving the kids there, because there's still the need for the kids. And we're still going to have the need for that service, but the numbers are going to be smaller. So we're having to readjust the facilities to make it work, that we have the right amount of beds for secure kids and non-secure kids. Am I correct on that? Maybe you have some more to add. But going back to the bonding thing then, we do have that. We did not move forward with that because of COVID and everything else going on. And there was a concern of spending money when you're going in the hole for starting to build a building. And because we do need a gym, and during inspections, we get dinged because we don't have a gym for the kids on site. And I don't know how long we can get by without that. But we did get the bond. But then, as we all know, construction costs have just gone way up. So even though we have the bond, it's doubtful that we can even accomplish that. But we're going to see how much we can do as well. And the option is on the table to discuss, and the board is discussing the possibility, and we've talked to Representative Baker and Senator Lang about this as well, and been encouraged to explore that, and we can possibly even go back in this year and ask for a bigger bonding bill for it, that if we see that would fit, and we'd be talking more about that. So everybody recognizes you don't, unfortunately, for I think 1.6 million, you don't get much nowadays. If you have to start building a building that has to fit in with the existing architecture.
A follow-up question, then I'm going to go to Mr. Kleindl. So do we have a deadline on getting projects started with those bonding dollars, or?
Yes.
Okay, and what is that deadline?
We have time, let's put it that way, but they need
23.
to know
Okay.
if we are going to go ahead or not.
2023.
Because if we are sure, they want to know so they can reallocate those dollars. But if we can notify them, I think we have time to work. We got several months yet.
Yes, so the next step, we've had some planning meetings. The conversations are still happening. But the numbers are different now than that first plan. And so we are having conversations with the architect and builder to see what those numbers look like, in addition to changing a little bit of how that design looks, where our current needs are at for non-secure placements.
Thank you.
And Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Kleindl, Hank?
So the whole corrections world is changing, as you know, see how the nation is working. So Ms. Booth and her team now has to readjust on how they're rehabilitating juveniles who are in trouble. And they're looking at different ways of approaching that system. And so they're going, our society is going to a non-secure type look, and looking at ways of working with people who break the law, and ways of training them, teaching them, getting them to treatment. And so when the system first started, it was geared toward everybody the doors being locked and secured. What they're going to now is the least restrictive model. You're still going to have a locked, secured facility, but the numbers are going to be geared toward a more non-secure setting, because they're focusing on everywhere on the least secured method and least restrictive method, and trying to get the youth dealt with that way. And so their whole program has to readjust. And when you're dealing with buildings that were built in the early 1900s, to remodel those buildings and to make adjustments in those buildings, to have eyesight and conformity to meet the DOC regulations, there's a lot of changes and adjustments they have to make to meet the license requirements. They can't just pick and choose how they set things up. There's regulations that they have to do, which cost money. Just like when we did the jail, if you and I were just building a private facility, it'd cost us a lot less. But when you do work with the Department of Corrections, the regulations and stuff are such that the cost overruns are significant.
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair. Thank you. Also, I'd just like to add, again, this is a 5-county joint powers, and so I'm speaking only on my own behalf and not representing that board at this point, but I'm giving you an update where we're coming from. So they have not made a decision to go forward, and since there's 5 counties are liable for this, and they have to make a decision as well. And at this point, what we're looking at, and there was an agreement with our board, as you all aware of, but maybe the newer commissioners are not so much, that we have to match that $1.5 million grant with $500,000 of the joint powers. And the way we were going to do that was that Kansas County was going to put the money up, and that the program would have to pay back Kansas County. And that's the way it sits. And we'd charge an interest rate for that $500,000 we had matched the bonding bill with. So it's all up in the air right now, and there's a concern about, would we, if something does happen, where do we recover the dollars? Would we, talking to Mr. Kleindahl, would we get our money back out of the $500,000 if we put $2 million into that building, because the feeling in the buildings don't sell for that much. So we'd have to see where the liability would fall on the other counties, and would they have to share that liability? So it's a complicated process to get into, but I think we're taking quite a bit of time here.
I'm going to ask one question, though. If we have an increase in the census, do the increased numbers, are they net neutral or net positive as we have more clients? In other words, do we make money on it or at least break even on additional folks?
With additional, then our hope is to break even. We're not in the business of making money by any means.
No, but it won't come at additional cost to the program if we have more clients, additional levy dollar costs.
Then there's more per
Do those costs
diem.
come from the counties in which those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And is it enough to cover our costs, what we get reimbursed from these counties?
No,
The agency will.
Okay.
yeah, just, Mr. Chair, just to be clear, yeah, the county's not putting money into that. We just pay for the program for our kids, right? So if they didn't go here, we'd have to haul them to some other place, and the sheriff's department would got to shuttle the kids back and forth and stuff. So we're really lucky to be a host county to this. We benefit greatly more than the other 4 counties. And we employ about 80-some
And we do
employees.
take clients from outside of those 5 counties.
Yes, the whole
Yes, we
state.
have
Those
youth
are the
from
ones
all
that-
around
yeah,
Minnesota.
All right, we do need to move on.
Yeah.
We're running behind schedule. Thank you so
Thank
much
you for the
for your
conversation.
presentation and your answering all the questions.
Need to vote on it?
Yes, we don't have a motion on that contract, do we?
No, that's what I'm looking
I'd
to.
entertain a motion for the services contract.
I so move we approve the,
Commissioner Berg moves on the contract for services.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Nissen seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, and I apologize for being late, Trish, the Veteran Services update.
Morning. How's everyone doing?
Good. For the record and for anybody watching, state your name and who you're representing.
Tricia Appledorn, I'm the Kansas County Veteran Service Officer.
Thank you.
Every year I come in front of you guys twice, Memorial Day and around Veterans Day. So Veterans Day is right around the corner. Imagine that. Getting cold out again. Annabeth and I are busy planning a Veterans Resource Fair. We just scheduled the date, secured a date today for April 12th. And what it's going to be is down in the multipurpose room, and we're going to have all kinds of people from the VA and other organizations, VA home loans, trying to find someone to come in and maybe do haircuts for veterans, things like that. It's been probably 5 years since we've had an event like this, so it's always good to invite them in here and kind of a one-stop shop so they can learn all about veterans and their benefits. So we're looking forward to that. As you know, there's Veterans and Coffee at the community center on the first and third Monday of each month in the morning, Monday morning. Veterans Day, of course, is coming up, and there's going to be lots of events at the local clubs, along with free meals everywhere. So I encourage veterans to get out and take advantage of that. There's also John Lindstrand's event at the City Auditorium, November 11th through the 13th. If you haven't been there, it's an awesome presentation of him setting up veterans type of, I'm looking for the word, memorabilia. There we go. There's a new veterans grant in the state of Minnesota for veterans that are coming back from deployment. So if they're coming back from deployment, we get notified and we are sending out letters to them. It's different amounts if you were injured or if you're deployed. There's just different amounts, but we're making sure to reach out to our veterans in Kansas County to get those grants submitted. We're still busy with state grants. Just got a septic tank for a gentleman up by New London last week. The grant was approved. And we are busy working on the property tax exclusion for disabled veterans. In Kansas County, we have about 200 veterans that receive that. So our office has to verify that they're still getting the disability every year. So we're busy doing that. Is there any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Appledorn? Holly?
I have no question. I was going to follow up on the coffee with veterans, but you covered that right off the bat, so.
Yeah, that's a really great program that they do get a lot of people there.
Yeah.
So for those who are listening, do you provide services for people outside of Kansas County?
Yes.
For outside of, because sometimes we're the closest center for them to go to.
We get a lot from Stearns County and the Painesville area, just because they don't want to go to St. Cloud. Meeker County, I believe they're just in the process of hiring someone. They haven't had anyone there for over a month. So we've been getting a lot of veterans from Meeker County.
So county residents in neighboring counties or even within our own county have freedom to go to the center that they choose.
Anywhere they want to go, yep.
Thank you.
I mean, our office works like that. There are offices that'll only see veterans from their county.
Okay.
I help people from Arizona, so.
Sure. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
presentation.
You guys have a great day.
All right, up next, United Action Community Partnership, UCAP, Deb and Heather.
Good morning, I'm Deb Brandt with United Community Action Partnership, and my coworker Heather and I are going to tag team this presentation. So thank you for inviting us. We appreciate coming. And so many times you hear about things and you're like, well, that's the best kept secret. So what we'd like to do today is just give you an overview of everything that Community Action does right here in our neighborhood. So we've been around for about 50 years, had a couple different names, couple different county shifts and whatnot. But today we're known as United Community Action Partnership. We serve 9 counties within our Community Action Partnership realm. And we are, I still say, in our toddler stages, 5 years of our merger with Western Community Action. But we have grown immensely. From 2017 to now, we moved from a $17 million private nonprofit to over a $31 million private nonprofit with the services that we provide, but more importantly, the difference that we can make in people's lives. So over our 9-county area, this last year, we served over almost 21,000 unduplicated individuals. And what that means is that if somebody comes in for energy assistance and perhaps another program, we only count them one time. We don't count them every time they come in. And that equates to about 8,500 families. And of that, Kansas County, that's the number that we've served within Kansas County. So it is probably the county close to Lyon County that is the highest served with individuals. So just a few stats about the families that we work with. 56% are at or below 100% of the federal poverty guideline. And for the federal poverty guideline, back in when these statistics were taken, which is our federal funding year from October 1st to September 30th, for a family of 4, it was $26,500. $26,500. And we have 56% of the families that we work with at or below that dollar amount. A few more demographics is we see a large amount of single-family households. The age group, of course, with our Head Start program, those birth to 5, that's a little bit higher number, but also then kind of that middle age, that 22 to 44. And then again, when it gets up into our elderly population, the 55 and older. 42% of our families own their own homes, 52% rent, and 6% are homeless. And that 6% is basically the same percentage across all of our 9 counties, but in Candy, Ohio County, we have a home ownership rate of about 48%. So many of the families that we work with within Candy, Ohio County are homeowners. And also going back to that federal poverty guideline of that 26,500, we have a very large Head Start program. We serve 599. That's our slotted amount of children. That's equal to some of our smaller public schools that we have around here. But of that, those families, 72% of those families are working families. And in order to get into the Head Start program to be eligible, you have to be at 100% of the poverty level or less. If you're $1 over, you do not qualify. So even though many of those families are our lowest income families, there are also a very high percentage of those that are working. 88% of our individuals have health insurance. 12% don't. That number has actually decreased a little bit since there aren't any what's the word with your taxes? Penalties for not having health insurance and whatnot. So we have MNsure navigators in multiple languages that we work with families and together with the county so that we can get people signed up for medical assistance, Minnesota Care, or private pay insurance. We're all about not duplicating services. And so we have 606 unduplicated partnerships with school districts, social service agencies, you name it, we'll partner with you. Volunteer hours are very important to us. Last year, we had almost 30,000 volunteer hours, even with COVID. And of that, 11,000 of those were by low-income individuals. We also were the proud recipients of Department of Human Services Commissioner's Circle of Excellence Award. And that was just for our creativity and for jumping on the bandwagon when COVID hit and never stopping services to the families that we're here to serve. So our public transit system, we delivered food, we delivered grocery orders, we were delivering all kinds of things. Our offices were shut down for probably 3 months, but we still saw families by appointment, or we would bring out hot spots to families. When the weather was nice, our staff would sit on the curb and the families would sit on the sidewalk. So we just figured it out so that services were not interrupted for those who need it the most. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Heather, and she's going to talk about just some of the vast array of programs that we have available at UCAP, and I'm going to chime in on a couple, so because they're near and dear to my heart.
Welcome, Heather. State your name and what you do for the record.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, good morning. I'm Heather Jeseritz. I'm the Community Services Director at United Community Action Partnership. And like Deb said, I'm going to talk about our Community and Family Services Department, some of the programs. And between the two of us, we've worked here longer than Community Action's been around, so over half a century. That's crazy, right? So we both have a lot of knowledge to share with you, so she'll chime in too. So you can see with our emergency housing department, we, through COVID assistance, the CHAP, COVID Housing Assistance Program, served almost 1,800 families through those program dollars, and over $3 million went into the assistance program for families with local vendors, the landlords. Through those dollars, we're able to help families retain their housing, get caught up on back payments. And again, a lot of the programs you're going to hear kind of a common thread about economic impact. The dollars that we have through all the programs we're going to talk about never go to cash or into the hands of the clients. All of them are direct vendor paid. And so again, the economic impact locally is always huge with many of these programs. Is this the button? Okay. Okay. One thing I want to talk about with emergency housing too is that we have a 6% homeless population through the service area, as Debbie mentioned. And so we do a lot of work with not only sheltering our homeless families throughout Candy, Ohio County and the other service area, but what does that look like long-term? How do we take families and move them from homelessness into stable housing, housing supported programs? What are the needs that the families have there? How can we support that with case management, in-home visits, long-term assistance? And so we have a whole spectrum of housing, again, from homelessness and sheltering, first month's rent, damage deposit, up to home ownership, which you'll hear a little bit about later on in our presentation. But also we've been really well supported in what does homelessness look like and how do we curb that throughout Candy High County, because as we do know, there's no homeless shelter here. So we have to be creative. We use some contract motel rooms like you and different other services to try to keep families safe and warm, especially coming up through the winter months. Do you want to start out talking about family-based? Okay.
So family-based and parent support outreach. Mr. Kleindell, this dates us. I think it's been over 30-plus years that we've worked together on this program. The county does contract with Community Action to provide in-home services. So the child protection case managers oversee the case, but we have staff that go into the families' homes because many times parenting is hard enough the way it is. But when you can't afford a roof over your head or food to put on the table, it even makes it doubly as hard. So our staff go in and not only help the family fulfill their basic needs, but also work with them on parenting skills. The Parent Support Outreach Program has been phenomenal. That is a voluntary program. So if somebody gets referred or a report goes into child protection and it's screened out, we might get a call to say, hey, we've got a family and they're not quite right for family-based, which is generally more court-ordered or got a lot of goals that the family has to work on. That is not as voluntary as what the Parent Support Outreach Program is. I remember 2 years ago, Jolene shared with me that 75% of the families that we served through the Parent Support Outreach Program did not roll over into child protection. That is a huge preventative program that saves a whole lot of money and makes families healthier together. So that was my little spiel with that one. This is a program that's near and dear to my heart because I worked with it for many, many years. So.
Perfect. And as you can see too, this is a service that we're a part of in Candy High and Meeker County. So there's some services that aren't in all of our 9 counties and some that are in more even. Another area that we provide a lot of services to families is with our Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, VITA, as you've maybe heard it referred to. We continue to grow. This is a program that has been around for 5 years, and we continue to grow and expanding into all of our communities. Some we have actual drop-off sites, some we do remote. We were the only tax site in the state of Minnesota through COVID that never shut down. So again, another proud moment for us, and we actually ended up doing taxes from around the state for families. We do them free to families who qualify, and last year we were able to give $3.4 million in refunds and almost 2,500 volunteer hours. So we have volunteer accountants that do taxes. All of our tax volunteers are certified to be able to do taxes and review taxes. So always looking for volunteers too, if numbers are your thing, or we do have greeter options too, if you just like to talk like me. So that's fine. We have jail programs in Candy High County, Meeker, and McLeod counties. Candy High County being our newest endeavor with a jail program. And what that looks like is we work weekly with the jail staff to identify inmates who may have needs upon release. Whether that's homelessness, whether that's applying for health insurance, SNAP benefits, maybe they have a child in the home that would be a great candidate or applicant for Head Start. But so we have case managers that go into the jail, meet with them, and try to have the best release plan possible for the most success upon exit from the jail. It's been really, really successful here in Candy High County, and we're excited to see where that can go even further. We have some thrift stores. Again, these are located in Redwood Falls and Litchfield, so Redwood and Meeker counties. Treasures upon treasures galore there. We take donations and then sell them at very low cost. All proceeds that come from the thrift stores go back in to support the programming that you're learning about today. Also, one thing that often people may not know is that if we get things that are out of season, we keep them from season to season. We also work with disabled veterans. They'll shred the clothing, maybe they're stained or ripped, and so we really don't throw a whole lot away. We try to recycle or reuse as much as possible. We have a youth development program. This is a mentoring program that's more in our southern area, because one thing that we don't like at UCAP, we really try to not do or don't ever do is duplicate services are already successful or existing in our local communities. So again, a lot of those partnerships we talk about, we want to be involved. It doesn't mean we always have to be the leader in it, but we want to be a piece of that. But in our southern area, youth development or Big Buddies is a program where we help one-to-one mentoring, after-school programming up to age 18. Through COVID, again, we were creative. Here's a picture of one of our staff doing online cooking classes. Technology is great, right? And so just really being innovative and helping that youth as they're growing up, maybe just needing more mentoring than they're getting at home. With our Blue Cross Blue Shield, we do a lot of work in health equity, and so making sure that we have a diverse staff that are able to go within the communities and help educate people who maybe English isn't their first language, being able to really understand, what is COVID? How do I protect myself? How do I protect my family? So we went and did one-on-one work, helping them apply for health insurance, translation of materials, providing masks. As you can see, we had a lot of people donate and be little sewing bees making masks, but really did a lot of work and make sure that we weren't missing any gaps in keeping all of our families as safe as possible. And then with our Child Care Aware Network, you can see so happy and smiling people in that picture. I haven't really noticed that before because this is a newer picture. But so we really work with the providers in our area to make sure that they are well supported, they are trained, we give them access to PPE through COVID. In-home and centers, we do supportive services through that and do coaching monthly with all the child care providers within our network. Anything you want to add on that? Good, okay. And then with MNsure, you can see the range in red there is significantly larger than the 9 counties that we talked about. So we are the lead agency for a MNsure grant that covers all the counties in the red. 30 different counties that we contract with. So Prairie 5, Mojave-Umpqua, West Central, and then Lakes and Prairies Community Actions. We're the lead agency for those. About 2,100 applications per year, and we assist with medical assistance, Minnesota Care, and then also QHP, so the Qualified Health Insurance Programs. Again, we don't facilitate the program, that's all ran through the county, but one of those great partnerships is we can help people apply, walk through that partnership or that application and see what program they would best be eligible for. And we have trained navigators in all of our counties. Helping people get there, our car donation program. This is a program where we accept donated cars. We have some funds that can help repair with minor repairs, making sure they're roadworthy. We work with families who are either on DWP or MFIB with an employment obtaining barrier or retention barrier. And so our goal is to get them employed and get them off county or cash assistance as a whole. At this, families who access this program, 86% of them no longer receive cash assistance, which is remarkable. Families that receive this program benefit also receive financial literacy counseling. We make sure that they have health insurance budgeted up for 6 months of car insurance and health insurance. And so really getting them on the right track to be able to retain that employment. Food, we partner with Candy Hook County Food Shelf and other food shelves of the like to make sure that all of our families are accessing food and have healthy nutrition choices. We help families apply for SNAP benefits, supplemental nutrition assistance programming. We help with food distributions, mass handouts during COVID pandemic. And we have food shelves in southwestern Minnesota that UCAP is the funding recipient of and coordinate, but we also, again, work with all the food shelves throughout our whole entire service area. One thing that looks different also in a lot of our different counties is special projects. So again, we identify gaps of service or gaps in needs, and so we have some winter coat handout programs. We have holiday projects, toy gift giving, back to school drives, things like that. If there isn't a program already within the service area, we coordinate that with community members. But if it is a program that already exists, then we just team up with, the Salvation Army and places doing that. You see the Salvation Army bucket there. We work closely with Salvation Army here in Canyon County, but in our other services areas, there's not an actual brick and mortar Salvation Army building or local office. And so we are the funding recipient and facilitator of the funds locally in our other service areas as well. Those are the fun ones, really, really fun ones. Okay, and new exciting news, mobile outreach office. So we have a mobile outreach bus where we're gonna bring services to all the places and people that can't get to one of our offices. We're actually just got it done being wrapped. We're gonna go set eyes on it today for the first time, which is super exciting. But with our mobile outreach unit, we're gonna be able to take all the services we're talking about today to our local smaller communities that maybe don't have an office that UCAP has, or maybe to events, mobile tax sites for elderly, whatever that might look like. We don't even know. We're just super excited that we're gonna be able to take our services directly to the people and again, reduce another barrier for them accessing services.
So the next thing is our early ed department, and that's our Head Start program again. Again, 599 children, and we have received both state and federal funding for that. And right here in Canyon County, we've had 2 new facilities within the last couple of years. Beautiful facility. As soon as we can open the doors, we want people to come and see what we've got out at the old REA building. That the picture on the right is one of our infant room that we've got out there. Marcus came in and just worked magic within that facility, and it is a beautiful facility that houses 125 little kiddos. We also have a new center in Raymond. If you remember the Corner Cafe downtown right across the railroad tracks, that is now a Head Start center. So we're able to serve not only families from within Raymond, but also from the McRae district. So we have a partnership agreement with Prairie 5 Community Action so that kids from Clare City can be bused over into our service area then. Some of the issues we're facing with Head Start, labor shortages, early ed teachers, it's really hard to keep staffing. Transportation, we've had an opening for 1 year. We've got a bus sitting out here that can go pick kids up, but we can't find anybody to drive it. Internet and other IT needs. Broadband is huge. We tried to do some remote visits. That did not work because the families that we work with, number one, don't have the internet. Number two, don't have the money to drive to the library to use the facilities and services that they have there. So that is a huge issue. So if you need some extra information about any broadband issues, we'd love to be part of that conversation. We're looking at extended hours. We are year-round with our Head Start program, and we do infants. We work with moms prenatally all the way up to age 5. And we're now looking at what we can do in Canyon County here in what we call our open space or our future space. We've got where they used to park the trucks in the back. We've got a large area that has not been developed yet. It's been sheetrocked in, but we're looking at extending hours pre-Head Start time and post-Head Start time for those wraparound services. And mental health supports this past year have just been horrible. We just haven't been able to access what we need for families. Number one, they're scared of COVID. Number two, not able to meet your basic needs. And number three, you're trying to work, but yet you've also got children at home. How do you find that daycare? There's just been a lot of stressors on the families that we serve. Small cities grants. We have one active right now in Raymond. And it's not just because I live there. There was a need, okay? Just saying. So anyway, what this does is we're able to go in and we're able to work with homeowners to help rehabilitate and make their homes more appealing looking as well as energy efficient. Our energy assistance program last year paid out to our local vendors $2.6 million. And of that, an additional almost $1 million with crisis payments, meaning somebody has been behind and gotten a disconnect notice. One of the really cool things this year is through COVID, we've now gotten some additional funding. So energy assistance isn't meant to pay for a household's whole heating costs. It's a portion of it. But now they've also added new funding right along, partnering with the energy assistance program that will help pay for water and sewer bills. And so we're working now with local cities and whatnot to get MOUs or memorandums of understanding so we can pay water bills like to the city or whatnot so that we can help those families that way. We've, I think, already had over almost close to 2,000 applications come in this year, and it just started in October, so. Teamwork is dream work. We're always about working together, and you can see our counties in the red. And then we also, again, are the lead agency with Prairie 5 Community Action in the gray and Southwest Minnesota Opportunity Council in the blue to provide weatherization. So if we're going to help a household with their heating costs, we also want to make sure that that heat isn't flying out the windows. This program is about energy conservation. We paid almost $1.7 million to local contractors. That is a picture of one of our weatherization inspectors, Mr. Jones, who was out doing what's called a blower door test. It actually sucks the air out of the house, and then they go along with these really expensive but high-tech cameras, and they can find out where all the cold air infiltration is coming in. And then they come up with a plan as to how to make that home energy efficient. The goal is at least 30% energy percent reduction, and we're at about 32% right now over all of our counties. Along with that, we can go in and replace utilities and appliances, hot water heaters, furnaces, things like that that are energy suckers. We're in home development. We're building homes right now for low to moderate income families, because if we can move somebody who's maybe a little bit more moderate income into that, that might also free up a housing unit for somebody who's lower income. And we are up to 11 units right now, and we've got about 5 slated to happen over in Meeker County. Transportation, we do public transportation in 8 counties. They're listed there. And one of the things we're doing is we're working in partnership with Candy Ohio's and Meeker and McLeod's their transit programs also, as well as Prairie 5. So CCT, UCAP, and Prairie 5s are all going to an automated fare collection. And we, again, are going to be the lead grantee for that, where we take the lead with getting the equipment, collecting the money, and getting it dispersed out again. So all of that happens with a staff of about 300 people that is overseen by a board of directors that is just so supportive of all that we do. We have a 27-member board of directors, of which Commissioner Anderson is one of. And so for every county that we serve, we have 3 representatives. And with community action, we're all about moving people from poverty to prosperity, and it's about listening to the voice of our low-income individuals. How can their voice be heard? How can they be advocates for themselves? So in our board of directors, every county has a public official, a private official, and a consumer. And so our consumers have equal voice at the table in the decision-making field. So with that, I just ask if there's any questions, or whew, that's a lot of stuff that we do.
So, okay, very, very quickly, because we do need to take a break.
Yeah, I just, the Head Start program, you say if they make $1 more than they're out.
They are out.
That's
That's how it is with most of the programs. If there's an income eligibility guideline, if you're right over it, you don't qualify.
Doesn't that feed the lack of help that we're all experiencing? They don't want to lose that part. It seems to me that a sliding scale would make more sense.
We couldn't agree with you more. That is a federal conversation that we have all the time with the Office of Head Start and the feds who made these rules. So thank you.
I absolutely have to cut this off before we run to the next meeting. I'm going to suggest, and I know you've had an open house at the new facility, but I'm going to suggest if you're willing to host us one day as a tour. I'm sure there's more questions that I didn't get to here today, and I'd love to visit the new facility, see what it's all about, and then perhaps have an opportunity to ask more questions. Thank you, guys. You speak at a very good rate, so you got us caught up. Even though we're out of time. We stand adjourned. Thank you so much.